Hello? Is it working? Hello? Are we live? Hello? Are we live? Oh, you can see the screen now? Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Hello? Okay, perfect. So, give me 1 sec here, and then I'll just get right back into it. I'll just start over maybe. Okay, so, let's see. I was reading this. So basically, just to recap, we didn't get too far, but it says here, Ms. Heard filed a gratuitous motion wasting court's resources. They're going to be producing the documents responsive to Ms. Heard's questioning, even though they're not relevant, and said that Ms. Heard's counsel lacked candor in describing her communications with Warner Brothers. So that's interesting to me. I wonder what exactly they have on her. So just give me 1 sec here. It says the court should deny both of defendants' motions. It says on August 7th, 2020, without any prior consultation with plaintiff's counsel, Ms. Heard unilaterally propounded a notice of deposition to Mr. Depp, demanding that he physically appear for 5 days of deposition in Virginia from October 4th through October 9th, 2020. We apprised defendant's counsel that 5 days would be excessive, especially given that Mr. Depp recently testified for several days in London on the very same subject, and that the parties would have to agree to mutually convenient dates from both Mr. Depp's and Ms. Heard's depositions, which should be the same length. 3 days later, on August 10th, Ms. Heard filed her 3-count counterclaims against plaintiff seeking $100 million in damages, to which Mr. Depp has demurred. On August 19th, Warner Brothers first apprised Mr. White's manager, Edward White, principal of the CPA firm Edward White & Co., that the shooting of Fantastic Beasts 3, long delayed by COVID, would commence in London in early October 2020. And then it says here, Exhibit A, a letter from Glenn A. Eckerly, Senior Vice President, Legal Affairs, Warner Brothers Pictures, dated August 19th, 2020, emphasis added. Oh, okay. It says, undersigned counsel immediately informed Ms. Heard's counsel of Mr. Depp's mandatory contractual obligation to Warner Brothers, providing her a copy of Mr. Eckerly's letter, and sought her agreement to Mr. Depp's forthcoming motion to continue the January 11th, 2020 trial date, with which the shooting conflicted. So, okay, so it wasn't the full picture. So Warner Brothers counsel was actually on Johnny's side, and they were seeking her approval of it. So well, it makes sense. They have a horse in that fight, as they say. And so it's not a good look for her, considering Warner Brothers is also her employer. So she probably pissed them off as well. Well, assuming she's still employed by them. Let's see. And sought her agreement to Mr. Depp's forthcoming motion to continue the January 11th, 2020 trial date, with which the shooting conflicted. Exhibit B. Ms. Bredehoft then called Mr. Eckerly and apparently had a telephone conversation with him and his Warner Brothers colleague, Wayne M. Smith, Esquire. Ms. Heard ultimately filed an opposition to Mr. Depp's continuance motion and served her 9th set of requests for productions, demanding all of Mr. Depp's communications with Warner Brothers, to which plaintiff properly objected as not germane to any issues in the case. Oh yeah, so yeah, definitely not a good look on her part, and it sounds like Warner Brothers in general were annoyed by that. It says here, Mr. Eckerly's August 19th letter proved to be spot-on accurate, as Mr. Depp's mandatory 2-week London quarantine begins on October 3rd, 2020, and shooting of Fantastic Beasts 3 will commence on October 19th, proceeding through mid-February 2021. It says logistics of Mr. Depp's returning this month would be impractical. Ms. Heard's motion to compel that Mr. Depp sit for deposition prior to October 30th is improper because she, as an actress who works for the same studio, Warner Brothers, which produces the Aquaman series, knows that Mr. Depp has a strict, exclusive engagement that would not allow him to travel from London to Virginia to prepare for and participate in a 2 or 3 day deposition in Virginia. The Fantastic Beasts 3 shooting in London involves 750 people in addition to Mr. Depp, who plays the lead role, which is Gellert Grindelwald in the film. Even if Mr. Depp's contractual obligations permitted him to leave for several days in the middle of shooting, they do not. The logistics would be impracticable. Shooting would have to shut down for a few weeks, as upon his returning from Virginia, UK law would require Mr. Depp to quarantine again for 14 days. That's true. Let's see. Nothing requires expedition here. Let's see. Ms. Heard already knows exactly what Mr. Depp will say at his deposition because he submitted 7 detailed witness statements, responding to Ms. Heard's ever-shifting testimony in the Sun case. Moreover, the Sun's QC, Sasha Wass, cross-examined Mr. Depp for 3 full days, July 7th to July 10th, 2021, on precisely the same subject matter at issue here. Finally, the trial judge, Sir Andrew George Lindsay Nichol, that's a lot of names, questioned Mr. Depp both during QC Wass's cross-examination and during Mr. Depp's one-day re-examination by his UK counsel, David Sherborne. Virtually all of the other deposition witnesses in this case also testified at the Sun trial. So there would be no prejudice whatsoever to Ms. Heard in taking Mr. Depp's deposition in March 2021, still weeks before the close of discovery. Ms. Heard and Ms. Bredehoft attended the entire 3-week trial and have all of the trial transcripts and trial bundles. True. Trial is still 7.5 months away, and Mr. Depp's demurrer to defendants' recently filed counterclaims has yet to be heard. No exigency exists which might justify requiring Mr. Depp to return in the middle of shooting, especially in that it would halt a huge production for the better part of a month, given UK quarantine requirements. Ordering Mr. Depp to make an unnecessary round trip between London and Virginia would also present health risks to Mr. Depp and those with whom he comes into contact. And this is the court should deny defendant's motion on her 9th request for productions as moot. It says these RFPs demanded all correspondence between Mr. Depp and Warner Brothers relating to the shooting schedule for Fantastic Beasts 3, and were never relevant to any issue in this case, especially after plaintiff's motion for trial continuance was mooted by the court's own initiative, continuing the trial date to July 17th, 2020. But to spare further time and resources, Mr. Depp submits herewith all responsive documents. See Exhibit D. Mr. Depp's travel to the San Sebastian and Zurich Film Festivals in late September, where defendant's BR P4 is a non sequitur, as that was fully consistent with the time frame set forth in Mr. Eckerle's letter, and Mr. Depp is returning to London by the October 3rd deadline. Ms. Heard's disparaging remark, defendant's BR P2, concerning Mr. Smith's letter of September 8th, 2020, see Exhibit D, which referenced a return to London by September 17th, is misplaced. As the correspondence set forth in Exhibit D shows, the purpose of Mr. Smith's letter was not to lay out Mr. Depp's mandatory schedule, which Mr. Eckerle had already done in his earlier letter to Mr. White. See Exhibit A. But rather to correct Ms. Heard's misstatement to the court in her brief in opposition to plaintiff's motion for continuance. It says, Warner Brothers counsel said they do not know when Aquaman 2 will begin filming. But it will be sometime in the spring of 2021, which is also a basis for denying the continuance. And then it says, Ms. Heard's brief at P2, emphasis added. Upon reading that misstatement, Mr. Smith decided to correct the record. In the September 8th letter, Mr. Smith states what he actually told Ms. Breda Hoft. As to Aquaman 2, that film will not start production any earlier than May 31st, 2020. So I definitely remembered that. Because she was trying to say that it was spring, but it was like looking more like summer. So basically, she was just bullshitting. It said, based on the aforesaid, the court should deny the defendant's latest motion. Okay, so. And then we just have, I guess, the exhibits here. It says, Dear Ben, please review the following email letter I received from Warner Brothers and the related attachment. In response to your inquiry, today is the first day that Warner Brothers informed me of Mr. Depp's requirements and the commencement date for his services. And then we have a letter here from Warner Brothers. It says, Dear Edward, the theatrical motion picture presently entitled Fantastic Beasts 3 is being produced by No. 3 Films for distribution by Warner Brothers Pictures. Pursuant to the agreements between company and LRD Productions, Inc., Johnny Depp, artist, is currently scheduled to render services on the picture in London on an exclusive basis, commencing in early October 2020 and running through and including the middle of February 2021. Of course, as is normal for film production, these dates are subject to production exigencies and further scheduling changes, and company may require artist services on the picture for additional period of time, before and after such time periods, in order for artist to complete his required services on the picture. And then this is Benjamin Chu to Elaine Breda Hoft. It says, Good evening, Elaine. Thanks for your message and for agreeing to leave open September 11th for the hearing on Mr. Depp's forthcoming motion for continuance. It says, Mr. White was informed today by Warner Brothers that shooting of Fantastic Beasts 3 will commence in early October 2020 and run through the middle of February 2021. Oh shit, that's a long shoot. Accordingly, Mr. Depp plans to seek a continuance of the trial date to sometime between March and June 2021. Obviously, we're willing to discuss your scheduling preferences if your client is amenable to what would be a relatively brief continuance from January 11th. On another subject, approximately how many depositions does Ms. Heard plan to notice? Please let me know what time tomorrow would be most convenient. And then it says here, coronavirus. List of countries, territories, and regions from where you can travel to England and may not have to self-isolate. You need to self-isolate if you visited or made a transit stop in a country, territory, or region that is not on the list in the 14 days before you arrive to England. Pretty well every country is almost there. Hold on. Is the USA in there? Probably. Coronavirus, you must self-isolate for 14 days when you arrive in the UK. This applies to UK residents and visitors to the UK. Yeah, that's a good, very valid point. But for whatever stupid reason, he did offer to do it by video link, but she said that wasn't good enough for her. It had to be. She wants him to do it in Virginia, which doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a 10-hour flight. Well, at least from where I am. So it's probably something similar, give or take a couple hours. Let's see, so it says, Dear Ben, this is an email from Benjamin Chu. Dear Ben, please review the following letter I received from Warner Brothers and the related attachment. Maria, she doesn't make any sense, to be honest. I totally agree. So, I don't know, based on, I guess the attachments, we're kind of still going through it, but it sounds like Warner Brothers wasn't too happy with her. They were, because I guess they chimed in to say, no, we need Johnny, so they were hoping that that would be enough, but then she made it a thing, so it's probably not a good look, since allegedly they are still her employer. Today is the first day that Warner Brothers informed me of Mr. Depp's requirements and commencement date for his services. Okay. And then it has this letter here. And then it's the same one we just kind of went over. It says dates are subject to change, and that Johnny is required. Let's see. We generally need the star available well in advance of production start, and also there's a potential quarantine issued. So I'm advised that May 31st May 31st is presently the latest date that we confirm that we don't need her to be available. Oh, is this in regards to Amber? Shoot, see, that's the thing about emails, it starts from the bottom. Okay, so let's read up here. Good morning. I understand that you said regarding the other film. Okay, so this is after they responded to her. I understand what you said regarding the other film not commencing prior to May 31st, 2021. Is it also true that it will not commence any time prior to June 30th, 2021, or is that a theoretical possibility? It says, we generally need the star available well in advance of production start, and also there's a potential quarantine issue. So I'm advised that May 31st is presently the latest date that we can confirm that we don't need her to be available. So it's basically they don't need her any sooner than the 31st of May of this year. So she's full of shit. She was saying, oh, it's going to film sometime in spring. Like, you're not needed. Nibs, it appears that Miss Heard doesn't know when Aquaman 2 is going to be filmed. That's interesting. Yeah, I agree. And I noticed in the responses that they're being very vague. They're saying, they're not even referring to her. They're calling her the star. Do you know what I mean? So it's leaving it very ambiguous. It kind of could open up the possibility of whoever will be playing the role. You know what I mean? In the event, they're leaving it kind of ambiguous so that in the event that maybe they do recast, or I don't know, that's what I'm taking it from it anyways. It's just very ambiguous. The star. There's no mention of her name, but they specifically refer to Johnny when they refer to him, but here they say the star. So I find that interesting. I don't know, maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but context matters. That's what it says here. Wayne, please see attached. Short letter confirming that Aquaman 2 will not commence prior to May 31st, 2021 will be most appreciated, as Ms. Heard's counsel did not accurately set that forth in the attached opposition. Oh no, shoot. Not a good look. It says, good morning, Wayne. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. Following up on my message to you of Friday afternoon, you saw that Ms. Heard's counsel represented in her brief at page 2 that Warner Brothers counsel said they do not know when Aquaman 2 will begin filming, but it will be sometime in spring of 2021, which is also a basis for denying the continuance. As you know, that representation by Ms. Heard's counsel is inaccurate. You told Ms. Bredehoft and me in separate conversations that Aquaman 2 would not begin shooting, and you would not need Ms. Heard to be available prior to May 31st, 2021. Wow, so she was going around accusing Johnny of lying about his dates and all this mess, but really she was the one that was lying about when she's needed. Saying, without asking you to take sides in any dispute between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, I would greatly appreciate you please kindly considering sending a short letter to that effect. I do have your confirming email message of September 4th, 1:50 p.m., which is helpful, but something on letterhead would be preferred if possible. As to timing, we would greatly appreciate today or tomorrow at the latest. So, Can we roll back? Okay, I'm just trying to see here. Available. I'm just trying to read through, so I don't read the same things twice. Okay, so here's a letter from Warner Brothers. It says, "Dear Miss Bredehoft and Mr. Chu, thank you both for taking the time to discuss with me the scheduling of various matters in your respective clients' lawsuit." As in, that's lawyer speak for thank you for wasting my time. As we have discussed, Fantastic Beasts 3 began production this month in the United Kingdom, and we require Mr. Depp to be in the United Kingdom from September 17th through the anticipated end of production in mid-February 2021. As to Aquaman 2, that film will not start production any earlier than May 31st, 2021. Again, very ambiguous. It's just saying, it's nothing to do with her, it's nothing to say we need Amber, but it does say we need Johnny. So, very ambiguous. And it says here, I wonder if it also could be the fact that they're both really big productions, so maybe could be like some kind of overlap in the crew and things like that. So maybe they're just too big of productions to have them both going at the same time. Maybe it's like a scheduling thing. I don't know. Could be wrong, but it's possible. Maybe they have like a specific kind of crew that does their really big ticket movies. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so we finished this document. And then this is just opposition here. It's not really much. And then we have this short little guy here. It says, Miss Heard's counterclaim, Miss Heard's counterclaims are a transparent attempt to punish Mr. Depp for initiating this lawsuit to expose and seek redress for Miss Heard's lies. Given this specious motive, Ms. Heard's counterclaims, unsurprisingly, are as devoid of legal viability as they are frivolous. If permitted to stand, Ms. Heard's counterclaims would turn Virginia defamation law on its head, undermining a defamation victim's right to prosecute an action against his defamer without fear of liability for the assertion at the heart of any defamation action. The defendant is lying. Ms. Heard fails to state a claim for declaratory judgment. In her opposition, Ms. Heard does not cite a single case recognizing the viability of a standalone claim for declaratory judgment of anti-SLAPP liability. Nor could she. Virginia's anti-SLAPP statute, like most, if not all, anti-SLAPP statutes, provides for immunity from civil liability for defamation, not a vehicle to impose civil liability. Anti-SLAPP immunity is quite simply a defense to defamation, a defense that Ms. Heard has already raised to Mr. Depp's defamation claims, not a valid basis for a declaratory judgment claim. Contrary to Ms. Heard's judgment, Taylor v. Cashflow Technologies is directly applicable here. Ms. Heard's argument that in Tyler, the counterclaim seeking declaratory judgment that statements were not defamatory was the inverse of a defamation claim, while her counterclaim for a declaratory judgment that her statements are immune from defamation liability is an immaterial distinction without a difference. In Tyler, the counterclaim for a declaration of no defamation liability was dismissed because it was a defense masquerading as a counterclaim and thus, simply put, duplicative of the plaintiff's defamation claim. Tyler v. Cashflow checks. The same is true here. Whether Ms. Heard is liable for defamation for her statements will be resolved by adjudicating Mr. Depp's defamation claims and Ms. Heard's defenses thereto. Yep, I agree. It's like the same thing. It's mirrored. It's exactly mirrored. So it's like if one is true, then the other one must also be true. It's kind of like a flip. She's not bringing anything new. She's just saying, no, he's lying, if that makes sense. It says here, Ms. Heard fails to allege computer harassment. Ms. Heard can also cite no apposite authority in support of her counterclaim for computer harassment under the Virginia Computer Crimes Act. Oh God, what a joke. First, she identifies not any authority to support her position that the alleged smear campaign constitutes an immoral or unlawful within the meaning of Virginia Code. She cites only 2 cases recognizing that interference with business or contractual rights may be subject to tort liability. But a threat of conduct which could result in tort liability is a far cry from the types of threats proscribed by the criminal statute. Second, Ms. Heard identifies statements by Mr. Depp that she contends are obscene, but fails to identify any authority finding the type of language proscribed by Virginia Code 18.2-152.71. In fact, sexually explicit words are uttered in anger, contempt, or disgust with the target do not constitute obscene language within the meaning of Virginia Code. Fatal to Miss Heard's counterclaim, the communications she identifies were not only uttered by Mr. Depp in anger and contempt for a person who falsely and publicly accused him of domestic violence. They were not even communications to Miss Heard, but rather private text messages between Mr. Depp and his friends. Maria, Miss Heard is a joke. I've dealt with someone like her recently. They have no logic. They just carry on hoping it will work out, not thinking about all the stuff they have done that can be proved. Yes, Maria, like that. I find that a lot with. I mean, I don't know. This is alleged, but they were saying throughout the course of the lawsuit that she's a narcissist, and I can definitely see that. And if that's true, it would make a lot of sense, because narcissists, they say that you shouldn't even bother calling out a narcissist because it's impossible for them to ever see the error of their ways. They're always going to think that they're the victim. They're the ones that were harmed. They're not self-aware whatsoever. So that makes sense. Like, it's just, there's not even a point in calling them out. It's a headache. Victoria, Maria, I think after the UK trial verdict announced, that's when we'll finally know whether she's in or out. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Where is that verdict? Oh my God. The case was like what? It was in August. Yeah, August, right? Yeah, August, right? Yeah, it's been a while. I'm just waiting to see what. Oh, hi. Welcome to the live Ridipatis Diallo. Sorry, I probably butchered that. Sorry. Yeah, I'm dying to know what the verdict will be. Let's see here. Ms. Heard does not explain how these private communications that were only revealed to her in discovery in this action could have been made with the requisite intent to coerce, intimidate, or harass her. That's a valid point. Let's see. Nor does she identify any authority recognizing liability for computer harassment based on private statements never communicated to the alleged target. Nor does she even have any proof of this computer crime that's being committed, like Russian computer crime thing. She just is pulling it out of her butt, and she has no proof for any of it. It's I don't know. It's weird. Victoria, rumor is the end of the month it's going to be announced. Oh my gosh, I hope so. Yeah, because I remember I think it was the past month that just went, September, they were on some kind of vacation or something. Weird. But yeah, that's so weird to me. Like, they have a vacation? Not here. There's no vacation here. I mean, unless it's like the holidays or something, but that's about it. It says here, Miss Heard's defamation counterclaim is subject to dismissal on multiple grounds. Ms. Heard's attempts to salvage defamation as the basis of her counterclaim fares no better. As an initial matter, Ms. Heard has failed to show that Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman's statements are even actionable for defamation. Ms. Heard cites no counter to well-settled authority cited by Mr. Depp, holding that statements that someone is a liar or has perpetrated a hoax are non-actionable statements of opinion. Instead, Ms. Heard recharacterizes all of Mr. Depp's and Mr. Waldman's statements, including Mr. Depp's mere statement that there was no truth to Ms. Heard's false allegations, as accusing Ms. Heard of perjury. But the only statement actually accusing Ms. Heard of perjury was made after Mr. Depp filed his complaint for defamation against Ms. Heard, which alleges that Ms. Heard's allegations of abuse were false and perjurious, and is thus immune from defamation liability, as a fair summary of the allegations of Mr. Depp's complaint. Similarly, the statements Ms. Heard contends contain provably false factually assertions are immune from liability because they are also covered in the complaint, and more broadly, statements made to defend Mr. Depp against Ms. Heard's false abuse allegations. It says, nor can Ms. Heard show that her counterclaim for defamation is timely. That's true. She's past the expiration or whatever. You have, I think, 2 years, I believe. She takes the untenable position that 5 of the statements she alleges to be defamatory are not barred, or 1 year, by Virginia's 1-year statute of limitations because they arise from the same transaction or occurrence as Mr. Depp's defamation claims. Not a single case cited by Ms. Heard stands for the proposition she asks the court to accept, that the filing of Mr. Depp's defamation claims told the statute of limitations for her counterclaim for defamation, arising from entirely different statements by different persons in different publications. In Wilson, the one case in which a Virginia court found a plaintiff's claim told the statute of limitations for defendant's counterclaim for defamation, there is no discussion of what the plaintiff's claim is, let alone an analysis as to why defendant's defamation claim arose from the same transaction or occurrence of such claim. Contrary to Ms. Heard's position, whereas here 2 defamation claims arise from different publications, they do not arise from the same transaction or occurrence such that the latter claim would relate back to the former, even if both instances of defamation concern the same topic. So yeah, like, she's not, her thing that she said that why she's starting to sue for is something completely different that even predates what she said. So I don't understand how she's saying, oh, it's the same, because it really isn't. And it's a valid point that the statute of limitations is up. Just because Johnny had filed his case doesn't extend her waiting period. It says here, under the overwhelming weight of authority, Mr. Depp's defamation claim does not toll the statute of limitations for Ms. Heard's counterclaim for defamation because the claims are based on different statements made by different people and published by different sources. Oh, bye, Victoria. Have a good evening. Thanks for coming by. Let's see. Accordingly, the court should sustain Mr. Depp's demurrer and grant his plea in bar. Oh, I guess that's it. That was a short one today. So, I guess the main highlights, the main points that we can take away from this is that Warner Brothers did not really at any point say Spring, and yeah, she just basically got caught in yet another lie. So yeah, this does not make her look good, and it definitely was a dumb move on her part, because if her goal is to continue to stay in Aquaman 2, especially when she's making it very difficult for them to keep her, she's just alienating them, because if she hurts Fantastic Johnny or tries to prevent him from being in Fantastic Beasts 3, that's hurting the Fantastic Beasts 3 movie. And Warner Brothers also employs her, so it's not a good look to try to fuck with their business. Do you know what I mean? It's like you have the same, it's like as if you work in a department store or something in totally different areas, but you have the same boss, you know? If you try to mess with that person that you don't like or something, it's, even though you're like, oh, it may not directly affect me, it still kind of does, because you're working for the same people. I don't know if it's a good analogy, but it's not a good look for her, and she's definitely not making it easy for them to continue to employ her, and pulling something like this in such a highly publicized case is not a good look. Nibs. This is an eloquent document, professional and unemotional. The total opposite of Miss Heard's crazy filings. Yes, I definitely agree. It's just very, I guess that's why it was so short, because it was like, dude, here's the proof that she knew that when it was, but she said something different just to be a pain in the ass, you know? Here's it straight from the horse's mouth. So, that's annoying. But, I mean, it's just her shooting herself in the foot, because if she pisses off Warner Brothers, who is going to suffer at the end of the day? It's not Johnny, it's going to be her. So, yikes. It's really unfortunate that this is how it's going down, but I wonder, with all these valid points that Johnny made, like the fact that the statute of limitations is actually expired, if they'll even allow the counterclaim to proceed at all. That'll be interesting to see. Maria Williams, give them enough rope, as they say. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Give them enough rope. And I almost feel like they are, or maybe Johnny has spent so much time with her or something that he knows how she operates, and he's explained that to his lawyers or something, because I feel like a lot of what I can sense, it's all very strategic. It's almost like they know how she's going to react, so it's almost like setting her up in a way, if you know what I mean. They're almost setting her up they just know how she'll be, so it's almost like it's baiting her. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. They're almost like baiting her, knowing that she will take the bait, and she seems like she really does. And all these things that are not a big deal become a big deal because she lies, and it's almost like, what is she ever not lying? That's what I'd like to know. Is she ever not lying? Doesn't seem like it. Yep, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next. It might go, I wonder if it'll probably go on like a little bit of a quiet time, since Johnny is going to be filming again, and it might even be difficult for his lawyer to get a hold of him or to get instructions from him, so I wouldn't be surprised if things quiet down in the case for the next little bit. But it doesn't make sense to me. She's being completely unreasonable. He offered to give a deposition via video link when he was in the UK, but she wouldn't accept that. It's completely unreasonable. She's just trying to make life as difficult as possible. Maria Williams, my brother took the one I dealt with to court for a different reason, and we know what she'd say and do. So predictable, means easy to go against. As I say, no logic. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's kind of true. Like, a lot of times narcissists, like, you can catch them red-handed with, like, their proverbial hand in the cookie jar, and they'll still, like, deny it. It's like deny till they die kind of thing. So, I don't know. It's definitely very frustrating, but it makes them easy to predict, I would say. But yeah, I guess that's it. Does anyone else have anything to say, or any like questions or anything? And I'll try to answer the best I can anyway. Crispy, she can't complain if Johnny don't mind doing live video chat. Yeah, exactly. He's still trying to compromise and do his best to make it work, and if that's not good enough, it's just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. Like, if you really need the deposition done, like, right away, he's saying, okay, well, I can make it work, but this way. No, I want it my way. Like, fuck off. She just seems like such a nightmare to deal with. completely unreasonable and irrational. She seems like a true nightmare, to be honest. So yeah, I guess that's all to update on now. That was actually quite a short update in comparison to some of the other ones that we've done. That was actually not too bad, or pretty quick. But yeah, it's getting late for me here, and I have to be up in the morning for work. So maybe I'll call it a night now. I'll be back soon. Please continue to give me some ideas, comment me any ideas that you might have for videos and stuff. I know I've been like just starting off in a new job, so I'm still trying to get into my groove and get a schedule going, but once that happens, I'll get a schedule going and things will start going back to normal. Let's see. Maria, I don't think her petulance will go unnoticed by the judge. No, definitely not. You know, judges, like, their time is money, and they don't like to have their time being wasted. They don't like to see people make a mockery of the court, or just in general, they don't like to see people be unreasonable or irrational, because that's what the law is based on. It's based on being rational, being, you know, compromise, and the scales, balance. So if you're completely off balance, like, it's fairly difficult to rationalize with somebody like that. And that is definitely one of the biggest ways to make a judge not side with you, is if you appear irrational and petty and difficult to kind of deal with. That's the biggest way to piss off the judge. August equals summer break. September, judge had vacation. Oh, true. I wonder if he already kind of knew, or if he really had to struggle with what it was. I don't know. I'm really hoping Johnny wins, but I feel good about it, honestly. I do. I really do. Maria, it's based on everything she isn't. True. Okay. Okay, guys, well, I think I'm going to try to head off to bed because I have to be up early in the morning. But thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll do another one of these very soon. Hopefully there's some new updates soon, and this stuff gets, some movement happens soon, hopefully. But I hope you guys are having a good October, and I hope you're staying safe out there, and take care of yourself, you guys, okay? Verdict in 3 to 6 months? That means end of October until January. Oh, shoot. Like, we might have to wait until January? Oh, good night, Nibs. Good night. Good night, and I'll catch you all in the next one. And thank you. Next time I'll give more notice. Sorry, guys. Have a great one.